On today's show, I am really pleased that you guys keep asking questions, because there's still no news. I'm iCloud Dave and I simplify Apple so that everything just works for you every weekday at 12 UTC with the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours. And also today, answering your questions. So the first one today comes from Bryan Data. Dave, have you seen the Asahi Linux project? Aims to get Linux running on M1. They've discovered that the M1 Max is designed to work in a 2-die system but not a 4-die system. What do you think this means for the Apple Silicon Mac Pro? Brilliant question, thank you Bryan, and I'm sorry one of your comments kind of got lost a few days ago, so apologies for that. In terms of your question, number one, cool getting Linux running on M1. I would probably like to play with that because I'm trying to do some stuff around gaming on M1s at the moment, so that would be pretty cool. Next up, the M1 Max designed to work in a 2-die system but not a 4-die system. I assume this is kind of from their research and what it looks like on the inside. I'm guessing there's potential that Apple could have a new way of doing it, because when we first started talking about M1s and multiple SOCs of the M1X, which is what we assumed it would be called, there was talk of 2 or 4 core systems. Now, my thought is that it's quite possible that because we've heard about a 4 SOC system for the Mac Pro, it's quite possible that what they would do is have 2 SOCs per card. So basically you have 2 dies that work directly together, and then you have an additional card so that you would have a 2-core or a 4-core configuration option. That would be my best guess. Although it's possible that they are only doing 2-core maximums in M1 Pro and M1 Max, and then they're saving the 4-core configurations for when we move on to the M2 Max and the M2 Pro systems. That's a possibility. It might be that they were just like, we don't need to get to that point yet, but let's keep it for the future. That would be my thoughts, but let me know, guys, down in the comments what you guys think. Next up, Karl Lake asks, iCave answers, what's your thought on Apple releasing a server rack version of the M1 Pro/Max or with dual or quad SoC options? The low power would mean low electricity costs on powering and cooling a server enclosure. In the past, Apple had no real value add in this space, but now they manufacture their own chips. Maybe it's a different situation. I definitely agree, but in fairness, ARM runs a lot of server stuff already. Amazon uses ARM cores for their servers. I believe NVIDIA does ARM-based server configurations as well, so I think this is something that already exists out there. I'm not sure how much of an advantage Apple would have, but it is definitely something that they could do. But bear in mind, right now, Apple doesn't even use their own hardware for their own servers and their own server farms for things like iCloud. It could be that they transition over to it, but it might well not be. Next up, Stuart Mottershead asks, if the rumour for iPhone 14 is a USB-C port, what if it's actually a Thunderbolt 4? This could imply that the A16 processor would be able to power a low-end MacBook. It would be easily powerful enough for most tasks and could bring the starting prices down. Would be great for kids and students. I'm not sure where you've seen this rumour for a USB-C iPhone. There has been a USB-C iPhone built, but that was an iPhone 10, I believe, that some dude on the internet ripped the lightning port out of, replaced it with a USB-C port, and sold it on eBay for $86,000 or something, because someone was an idiot and paid it. Just wait until it's a YouTuber that we all know and love, and they do a bunch of videos on it and make their fortune. Who knows? But regardless, I don't believe that there is a USB-C actual rumour that's going around. John Prosser addressed this in his video yesterday. He's the one that's actually seen the CADs and the actual physical housings for iPhone 14, and the measurements that they've done say it's Lightning. It's not USB-C. However, let's do a theoretical game here. If they were to put a USB-C port in there, and it was in fact Thunderbolt style, could they run a Mac on it? Yes. It doesn't even need to be Thunderbolt to run a base level Mac on it. It could be USB-C. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to have a Thunderbolt controller in order to be a low-end Mac. Let's say they were going to put it out at $750, right? That's a pretty decent price point. It would be around about what you would be paying if you wanted an iPad basic with a decent amount of storage and a keyboard and trackpad, if we were kind of putting it in those terms. A MacBook that costs $750, runs on an A16 instead of an M series processor, can do all of the tasks that you need, doesn't have the multi-core ability to necessarily do high-end video work, perhaps, or higher-end gaming, although the GPUs are pretty capable. Maybe it doesn't allow external monitors. Maybe it only allows you to mirror to a projector, for example, for a presentation in an office. I think that would be still a fairly compelling thing, because the vast majority of people don't use external displays. The vast majority of people use a web browser and Office suite, basically, to do pretty much what they do. Mail, pages, numbers, keynotes, that kind of stuff. Would this be a legit product? Yes, Apple could do it. Do I think they will? I still don't see it happening. I could see them doing maybe an A16 powered Mac Mini that is just a very, very cheap Apple TV sized box that sits behind your TV and allows you to turn it into a basic computer for normal household stuff. Repurposing your TV rather than being like a dedicated desktop. I could see that happening. I don't think they're going to do it with an A16, but I'd be delighted if they did. But on the USB-C iPhone thing, still don't think it's going to happen ever. I think we're going to get portless before we get USB-C. Sweet Alamac asks, iCave answers, Unity releasing all those Weta God-level tools to the masses will be mind-blowing. Alder Lake exists, but do you think it's necessary that the new Mac Pro needs a quad-core M1 Max to run the Weta Engine in the first place, or the M1 Max is already capable of doing so? Now, let's just preface this by I am not a VFX artist. I'm sure that there will be some information coming out from the guys probably over at the Corridor crew who are VFX artists, do understand this stuff, and I'm sure we'll be testing the M1 Pros and M1 Max chips as soon as humanly possible. Now, there's also been some comments in my comment section that Apple may have already seeded Mac Minis with M1 Pro and M1 Max to game development studios in order to start porting AAA games over as Apple native mode. Well, that would be astonishing if it's something that has happened. I would be very, 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 very pleased. But we don't know. In terms of the Weta Engine stuff that's going on here, what I would assume is for the vast majority of people that would need Weta Engine, they may well be able to do the modelling and do all of the kind of front-end stuff on a MacBook Pro with an M1 Pro or an M1 Max would probably be capable. Just like when you're doing renders in Blender or something like that, all you're trying to render in real time is the viewport, so being able to kind of look at the model, being able to see what the textures will look like on it, and then you send it to render. The difference at that point will be how long does those renders take, how long does each frame take to render, but the actual front end of it and moving it around is not insanely taxing on the machines. I don't know specifics about Weta, but in general for rendering stuff in 3D, the first part of it, where you're actually building your models and kind of setting up your scenes, isn't that demanding comparatively to actually rendering them out with all the lighting, with all the textures and everything else. So I don't know is what I'm going to say here, but I do think that these MacBook Pros would be absolutely capable of running any games that you can throw at them in terms of performance. Thomas Rundle asks, iCave answers, when do you expect Private Relay to come out of beta? I use it most days, but I've found it frequently having technical issues and it prevents me from connecting to the internet. And Thomas, I'm with you 100% here. I think that might be the issue that I'm having quite often, especially on my phone when I'm out and about. I find that I can't connect over Wi-Fi or on wireless quite a lot. It's really difficult on cellular. So I think beta is even possibly a generous term for it. It works at times really, really well, and at other times it's just a complete nightmare. So I don't think it's coming out of beta anytime soon. Maybe spring next year, or maybe even WWDC. I know that's a while away. And Alan B Unboxings and News, to finish it off, we've got a number of questions, so here we go. iCave answers, what rating numbers would you put for every Apple since the original Apple 1 through the HomePod Mini in new colours and the new MacBook Pros? That's going to take a while. Maybe we should make a video where we just literally go through and rank every Apple product. Would people like that? Maybe we could do it as a live stream and you guys can get involved. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to do that. Maybe that could be our 10k video. We do an absolute ultimate tier list for everything Apple's ever made. That's going to take a while. Next, iCave answers, hey Dave, are you angry that the Disney plus Marvel series IronHeart got moved back to the last month of 2022? I think being angry about something getting moved back that we haven't seen anything of yet, it doesn't really matter. It'd be cool to watch it. I'd like to see it. I think IronHeart's going to be pretty cool. IronHeart, if you don't know, is basically the follow-on to Iron Man. It's a young girl who basically builds her own Iron Man suit and then I think gets like Peter Parker's glasses style thing, where she gets like Tony Stark as her version of Jarvis, I think. I think it'd be pretty cool. And finally, IK Food answers cheeseburger with french fries, or cheeseburger with sweet potato fries, or McDonald's cheeseburger with french fries and a McFlurry. Well, we're going to rule out McDonald's straight away because McDonald's sucks really hard. And I don't care for McFlurries particularly. Cheeseburger with french fries or cheeseburger with sweet potato fries. This is now all we're asking is, do you prefer french fries or sweet potato fries? And at that point, sweet potato fries, but only if they're really well salted. On that bombshell, thank you very much for watching. If you want a question answered in a future show, hashtag #ICaveAnswers down in the comment section with your question, obviously. If you just put hashtag #ICaveAnswers, not a lot I can do with that. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button right now. I am watching.